third thing is that you need to pick at least one thing you're going to do differently between now and next tax season. So the first helpful hint is don't forget to let your tax preparer know if you've made any 2021 individual retirement account contributions, Roth conversions, or qualified charitable distributions. Type in the chat box if you think that is good advice. If you think that should have been told to your clients. Because I'm going to tell you something. All the words that you see and all the slides I'm going to give you today that are bolded. Those are marketing messages. And if you did not have an email funnel set up with email templates that you can market out, that you can send out to your list on a regular basis, then you're missing the opportunity to build a relevant relationship with your prospects and stay in front of them all the time. So the first tip you get right here is, and I like Richard's comment, duh. The first tip you get right here, and if you don't have a funnel put together, you need to take this advice right here. And when you get off this webinar today, put your funnel together for next April. Because this is the question that you should be asking in your email communication with your client. And I'm going to show you, in fact, I'm going to have you count as we go through this, how many different marketing messages there are. So the helpful hint, this is an email template you would send out. Don't forget to let your tax preparer know if you've made any 2022, right? This is going to be for next year. Individual retirement account contributions, Roth conversions, and qualified charitable distributions. And the reason the IRA, the Roth, and the qualified charitable distributions are bolded is those could actually be 3 separate email templates, couldn't they? Depending on where the prospect came from, whether it's a list, direct mail, what type of prospect it is. The charitable donation deduction for the standard filings has ended. So giving to a nonprofit, well, that's a great way to give back, and we should encourage people to do it. I do it myself. In 2020 and 2021, it's those donating cash to charity were able to make that deduction up to $600, $300 for individuals. But we know that ended, right? Notice the words that are bolded. That's your messaging. That is a separate email template that you could have sent out, and you probably should send out next year. And I wrote it for you. Unfortunately, due to the elimination of this exemption, you won't receive a tax break for your kind deeds in 2022. Well, this will say 2023 unless you itemize. Those bolded words are what goes in your subject line, and that's what causes people to open the email marketing. So do you kind of get the feel for what we're going to do here? For the rest of this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to quit reading these to you, but I'm going to point out to you what the marketing message is. And then I'm going to talk to you about where you get your lead source from and what you should be doing, because everything you're going to see creates an opportunity for you to stay in front of your prospects and your clients for the entire year. In other words, we're going to use the tax code to stay relevant to everybody that we communicate with. The next one is the standard deduction increase. We know that if you're not itemizing for 2023, remember we're talking about 2023 now, 2022 is gone, right? That tax filing just happened. But wait a minute, is that true, Lloyd? That may not be true. There may be some other times during the year where people are going to be filing different than today. Okay, all right. So the bolded words there, the 2022 standard deduction, the amount that can be withheld from your income before taxes applied, has been raised. Notice the words, not itemized, standard deduction, raised. That's the type of phrasing that needs to be in the email subject line. And when you provide this information, your call to action is to get more information from you. They schedule an appointment. And it even goes down to the details. You can read all that. You probably already read that. But each one of them, a single filer, that's an email template. Married individuals, that's an email template. And it gives you an opportunity to segment your list so that you can more perfectly target the message to that particular group. And the great thing about the government is they change the laws and regulations all the time, which constantly gives you new material. So for an unmarried individual filing single and head of household, an additional $17.50 is allowed for those 65 or older. Whoa, wait a minute. 65 and older, that's another email template, right? That's another segment of the list that I'm sending out. And that gives me an amount, $17.50, that I can use that in the subject line and in the heading. We have new 2020 income tax brackets. Now, unless something changes, it's the government, so everything changes all the time. Unless something changes, these brackets will probably be the same for 2023, but at least for this year's, this is what they are. The taxable income needed to hit a tax bracket increased 3%. That's a 3%. I can think of marketing messages I can give. Did you get your 3% increase? Was your income hit by the 3% increase? Were your taxes impacted by the 3% increase? Those are subject lines in an email or in a Facebook ad that will cause somebody to open your email. And I think that's kind of the key about email marketing, right? Is you want them to open the email, you want them to read the email, and you want them to click. You want them to do something. In fact, all of your marketing should be centered around how you want them to feel. Write this down. How you want them to feel, what you want them to do with the information, and you want to make it as easy for them to do it as possible. So what do you think? Type in the chat box and tell me what you think. I'm going to show you the next line here, but I want you to tell me when you see the bolded words, what do you think the marketing message